Okay, so today we're going to be reading The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. And I'm going to try to incorporate some ASMR elements into this video because I am an avid ASMR watcher and just wanted to do this for fun and in practice and in service of what I'm learning in this book. So I'm here to share it with you too. I hope you enjoy it. This is the 10th anniversary edition. I got this version at a thrift store when I was visiting my mom, and it was $1, so I had to pick it up. And there's since been later editions. I think now it's up to like the 30th edition, so there's been quite a bit of editing and probably some more politically correct phrasing, as I have been made aware from a couple of the things in here, but I'm excited to share with you the introduction and then going into week 1 or chapter 1 for the morning pages and the artist date. So we're kind of going to do like a skim reading of the introduction. I'll read about like the first 2 pages of just the regular introduction, not the 10th anniversary introduction, and then we'll just dive into the rest. This is my first time doing this, so feel free to leave suggestions as to what I can do next time. I filmed a couple takes of this, but I'm hopeful that this will be the one. So without further ado, The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. When people ask me what I do, I usually answer, I'm a writer-director and I teach these creativity workshops. The last one interests them. How can you teach creativity, they want to know. Defiance fights with curiosity on their faces. I can't, I tell them. I teach people to let themselves be creative. Oh, you mean we're all creative? Now, disbelief and hope battle it out. Yes, you really believe that? Yeah. So what do you do? This book is what I do. For a decade now, I have taught a spiritual workshop aimed at freeing people's creativity. I have taught artists and non-artists, painters and filmmakers, and homemakers and lawyers, anyone interested in living more creatively through practicing an art. Even more broadly, anyone interested in practicing the art of creative living. While using, teaching, and sharing tools I have found, devised, divined, and been handed, I have seen blocks dissolved and lives transformed by the simple process of engaging the great Creator in discovering and recovering our creative powers. The great Creator sounds like some sort of God, too Christian, too New Age, too stupid, simple-minded, threatening. I know. Think of it as an exercise in open-mindedness. Just think, okay, great Creator, whatever that is. And keep reading. Allow yourself to experiment with the idea that there might be a great creator and you might get some kind of use from it and freeing your own creativity. Because the artist's way is, in essence, a spiritual path initiated and practiced through creativity, this book uses the word God. This may be volatile for some of you, conjuring old, unworkable, unpleasant, or simply unbelievable ideas about God as you were raised to understand Him. Please be open-minded. Remind yourself that to succeed in this course, no God concept is necessary. In fact, many of our commonly held God concepts get in the way. Do not allow semantics to become one more block for you. And then there's a couple of quotes on the sides of the pages, and I'll just read these two. Man is asked to make himself what he is supposed to become to fulfill his dream. Paul Tillich. I myself do nothing. The Holy Spirit accomplishes all through me. William Blake. When the word God is used in these pages, you may substitute the thought, good orderly direction or flow. What we are talking about is creative energy. God is useful shorthand for many of us, but so is goddess, mind, universe, source, higher power. The point is not what you name it. The point is that you try using it. For many of us, think of it as a form of spiritual electricity, and it has been very useful as a jumping off place. By simple scientific approach of experimentation and observation, a workable connection with the flow of good orderly direction can easily be established. It is not the intent of these pages to engage in explaining, debating, or defining that flow. You do not need to understand electricity to use it. Do not call it God unless that is comfortable for you. There seems to be no need to name it unless the name is a useful shorthand for what you experience. Do not pretend to believe when you do not. If you remain forever an atheist, agnostic, so be it. You will still be able to experience an altered life through having worked with these principles. I have worked artist to artist with potters, photographers, poets, screenwriters, dancers, novelists, actors, directors, and with those who knew only what they dreamed to be, or who only dreamed of being somehow more creative. I have seen blocked painters paint, broken poets speak in tongues, halt and lame and maimed writers racing through final drafts. I have come not only to believe, but to know that no matter what your age or life path, whether making art is your career or your hobby or your dream, it is not too late or too egotistical or too selfish or too silly to work on your creativity. One 50-year-old student who always wanted to write used these tools and emerged as a prize-winning playwright. A judge used these tools to fulfill his lifelong dream of sculpting. Not all students become full-time artists as a result of the course. In fact, many full-time artists report that they have become more creatively rounded into full-time people. Through my own experience and that of countless others that I have shared, I have come to believe that creativity is our true nature, that blocks are an unnatural thwarting of the process Blocks are an unnatural thwarting of a process at once as normal and as miraculous as the blossoming of a flower at the end of a slender green stem. What a beautiful, difficult to read metaphor. I have found this process of making spiritual contact to be both simple and straightforward. If you are creatively blocked, and I believe all of us are to some extent, it is possible, even probable, that you can learn to create more freely through your willingness to use these tools as the book provides. Just as doing hatha yoga stretches alters consciousness when all you are doing is stretching. Doing the exercises in this book alters consciousness when all you are doing is writing and playing. Do these things, a breakthrough will follow, whether you believe in it or not, whether you call it a spiritual awakening or not. In short, the theory doesn't matter as much as the practice itself does. What you are doing is creating pathways in your consciousness through which the creative forces can operate. Once you agree to clearing these pathways, your creativity emerges. In a sense, your creativity is like your blood. Just as your blood is a fact of your physical body and nothing you invented, creativity is a fact of your spiritual body and nothing that you must invent. Now, at no discredit to the author, I think we're going to skip the my own journey part for now. Perhaps we will come back to that later. But I really just want to dive into the next section, which is spiritual electricity, the basic principles. But before I do that, I'll just read a couple of the quotes we missed on the sides of the pages, the margins. The position of the artist is humble. He is essentially a channel. Piet Mondrian. I think there's a couple quotes by Piet in this, actually, from what I've read so far. And the last one. God must become an activity in our own consciousness. Flow, good orderly direction. Take that however you will. I'll probably use interchangeable phrasing for God when it's written in the book. Excited to dive in more.